welcome
to episode 138 of Doctor Who Time and Space.
That's quite a few.
138, all hosted by me, Lewis Moon.
And me, Dee Call.
So,
I thought was quite interesting there.
Yes.
Having the theme music playing, particularly right from the beginning. I sort of had this craving to start dancing around until the music stopped.
Yeah, I know.
So like a musical statues, because we were playing at this minute.
Yeah, we were just playing musical statues. If you don't know, we did mention it. We have mentioned it a couple of times on our videos each week. We were having a big Christmas party. You may have noticed there was a lack of videos this week. Only this one. But the thing is, on Thursday, which is Christmas Eve, we are treating you to Empires of War, our Christmas special of MLMA, a full cast 20-minute episode.
Wowza.
So
that's your Christmas bonus this year,
Yes.
isn't it, really? So something to sort of warm the cockles before the Doctor Who Christmas special.
which is the
next
following day. So to talk about, before we go into the actual show, just going to talk a bit. This is our final show before Christmas.
Wow.
So there may be some changes, only for a week.
Yeah.
We have not sorted it out yet, but we will let you know. But there are, next week, what we're going to do, this is going to be a little bit different. We're going to let you know whether the podcast is going to be on
Boxing Day,
or whether it is going to be on a Sunday, which is very irregular.
We've never done a non-Saturday podcast.
We have
before,
never done a non-Saturday podcast, but next week may be the first time we do. So we will let you know on YouTube and my website and stuff that whether it's going to be a normal Saturday podcast and will be fresh off the block from the Christmas special, or even fresher than we would be for the following day, or maybe we might be just a little less fresher by the next day. But whatever we do, if it's on Sunday, it will still be closer to the actual episode of Doctor Who when we're reviewing it than all of those that we had in Series 9. So we'll let you know whether it's going to be a Saturday like normal podcast, or whether there will be a few changes and it will air on Sunday.
That's right.
Yes.
So what have we got on this podcast this week?
So our main article this week, this isn't what we're going to start with, but it's going to be our overview on Series 9.
Okay, quite a lot to get into with that.
Yes.
We've also, we'll be doing a preview for the Christmas special.
We will be reviewing this week's randomizer story, Next Doctor.
Yeah. And we'll have a quiz or question.
But first up, it's time for our news. I always wanted to do it like that because you always say, now it's time for, we have the news.
Yes,
So
indeed.
What I'm going to ask.
You sounded like a proper news presenter when you said that.
Is if we have the news first, then save the news till the end.
Okay.
But if it's like, we don't have much news this week. I think we only have 2 bits of news.
2 bits of news?
However, we have lots of articles on Doctor Who TV.
Okay.
Now, this week I was rather excited when I heard that the L+7 ratings for the first 7 episodes of the Series 9 have finally been released.
Last.
So the Live +7, which is the L+7, counts those who watched live and all repeats, including iPlayer, within 7 days following broadcast.
Okay.
But I'm not going to go straight in because there's a lot to talk about with ratings this week.
Is it just out of interest then? Is this the final rating that we get, or is there a further?
No, this is the final, final rating,
okay.
And this is what it will go down as in Doctor Who history.
Okay.
So, but even though I was mentioning that a minute ago, I'm not going to go straight in with the L+7.
Uh-huh.
I am going to go in with the final ratings for Hellbent.
Okay.
Because last week we discovered that Hellbent was the second most watched episode of the series.
Yeah.
Just with 4.8 million viewers.
That was second to what? What was the top?
Girl Who Died.
Girl Who Died, right, yeah.
With just 0.5 million
Uh-huh.
more. So, wait, would it be 0.5? 0.5. 0.05. 0.05.
Yeah, okay.
Million
Sounds
more.
right.
And the final ratings for Hellbent was increased by a little more with 6.17 million.
Okay.
So that isn't the final rating, but the AI for it was as good as the Zygon Invasion, the Girl Who Died, and it was 82.
82. Okay.
Which means it's one of those ones which it looks like it's loved by many, but it's also hated by many.
Which certainly seems to be the case when you pick up on the reviews that we looked at, really, wasn't it?
But I think really it's loved by most people.
I think so.
So let's talk about L+7 ratings then.
Okay.
So let's go straight in with the opener of the series, which doesn't the opener seem like a long time ago?
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. It's odd, really, because I mean the whole series. It felt like it was over as soon as it started.
Yeah.
But at the same point, like you mentioned, it feels like a long time ago that it actually kicked off. But,
It seems slower than last year's run did.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was more enjoyable. But maybe it just wasn't as fast paced as last year.
Yeah, maybe that's right.
Even though it was meant to be more.
Yeah, and maybe it was something as well to do with the two-parters. Maybe that made it feel different in terms of its length.
Maybe it did.
Don't know.
I thought that would make it shorter originally.
You would do, wouldn't you? But yeah.
So The Magician's Apprentice, the L+7, was 7.41 million.
Okay.
Witches Familiar was 6.58 million.
Okay.
Under the Lake was 6.51 million. Before the Flood was 6.77 million. Girl Who Died was 7.19 million. Woman Who Lived was 6.73 million, and Zygon Invasion was 6.49 million.
Okay, so just trying to go through those in my head. So does that still mean then the Girl Who Died, at the ones that we've got those final figures for, is still the most popular in terms of viewing?
No, the interesting thing is, Magician's Apprentice is the most popular, and it got almost a 2 million boost, almost a 1 million boost from the final figure to the L+7.
Yeah.
Which is the most out of these, the most boosted episode.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, there was one which is just disclosed, Under the Lake, which had almost a 1 million boost.
I think both of those were broadcast live at the same time as the rugby, were they not?
What ones?
I think those two that you just mentioned, Magician's Apprentice and Beneath the Lake.
Under the Lake.
Under the Lake.
No, I don't think Magician's Apprentice was rugby. I think Witches Familiar was the first one with rugby.
Okay. I mean, that would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? Because it seems like a lot of people watched it on iPlayer afterwards. Yeah, good. Oh, that's interesting to see. So I guess it'll only be a few weeks now, or maybe even next week, and we should get the rest of the figures announced. Do you reckon?
And hopefully we will get the Husbands of River Song figure announced by the podcast next Saturday, Sunday. So what do you think of these ratings? Are they good? Are they bad? Or?
I think it certainly does exactly what we thought was going to happen, wasn't it? Which is it started off sort of perhaps lower than people were predicting, and then just built up over time.
Yeah.
Once you built in the iPlayer, and I think it just shows more than anything the changing way that people watch television now. people don't tend to watch things live anywhere near to the extent that they used to. We're now in a sort of on-demand way of watching stuff, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Right, so let's look at Moffat. This is our last bit of news this week. However, we've got lots of other things to talk about on Doctor TV. Stephen Moffat has teased 2 new brilliant, prominent, and amazing writers for Doctor Who Series 10.
Ooh.
Speaking at last night's screening of the Christmas special, he said, "We're already moving on to Series 10. We've had meetings today with 2 writers who never written Doctor Who before." He added, "If I told you their names, your brain would explode."
Mm.
When exactly Series 10 will commence filming still remains unconfirmed, although production designer Michael Pickwood last indicated it'll be a few months later than the January start of the last 2 series.
Okay. It's quite interesting, isn't it? So I guess can we sort of guess from that then that nothing has been written at all yet?
I guess Stephen Moffat might write the opener.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That's interesting news then. We should look forward to that. I wonder who these 2 writers could be. Who could it be? Could it be, yeah, I don't know. Time will tell.
Never
written. We probably wouldn't have heard of them anyway, would we? Let's face it. And so that's
You're
all.
calling me
news,
dumb or something?
That's all the news. Thanks everyone for watching, for listening to us today.
there is like more stuff to talk about.
Okay.
So on Doctor TV, there's a few things to talk about this week. So people's verdict on Hellbent and the episode ranking of Hellbent. So nearly 6,000 people voted in Doctor TV's little poll thing.
Yeah.
So let's look at what they thought of Hellbent. If we ever needed a definition of divisive, pointing to the above diagram would pretty much provide it. So,
okay.
What do you rate it out of 10?
So,
most people look like they rated it a 10.
Yeah, very high episode score 10 there, wasn't it? So we basically had nearly 40% of people gave it a 10. Then after that we had, I can't believe percentage from here, 20% said it was 9. So actually, that if you look at that, 60% of people thought it was a 9 or a 10.
Yeah.
And then if you build in the next one, the 8, 11%, just over. So 70% of people thought it was at least an 8. So actually, I mean, that's really high, isn't it? Do we have these for the others as well?
So, however, I'll read you the order from bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So Sleep No More is at bottom. Girl Who Died, Woman Who Lived, Hellbent at 9.
Okay.
Before the Flood, The Zygon Invasion, Under the Lake, Magician's Apprentice, Witch's Familiar, Face the Raven, The Zygon Inversion. Guess what? Heaven Sent at first.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
No.
Doesn't surprise me at all. What the other thing that must show then is, although it's quite low in the ratings there, Hellbent, if 70% of people gave it an 8 or above, that must mean there's some very high scorings for all these other episodes.
So out of 25 episodes of Peter Capaldi's era to date, Hellbent would only rank 16.
Really? Crumbs. I mean, we don't sort of see the ranks, do we, for the other episodes very much in terms of where people have mainly sort of placed them.
What do you mean?
Well, like there, that we could see how many people, what percentage of people had actually voted for it. And number 10.
Yeah.
I'd give it 10
They
points.
have done all of the other episodes, but you can look at them on Doctor TV.
I just thought it'd be interesting at some point, in fact, perhaps outside of this programme, but it would be interesting to have a look to see what the scorings were like with some of the others. If you take one like Sleep No More, which is quite a low rating, whether still, because this is a Doctor Who site that primarily people were thrusting immediately to the high scores.
Apparently, Hellbent is the most divisive episode this season, and followed by Sleep No More. It's crossed out there, and then Under the Lake is least divisive.
Yeah, probably because Under the Lake is a bit more of a sort of traditional style Doctor Who episode, isn't it?
So, what were the people's favourite companions there? Companion exits.
Okay.
Well, last place was Martha Jones. Clara Oswald is fourth, but I bet if they hadn't messed it up in Hellbent, then it would have been like second.
Yeah.
The Ponds is closely third, with Rose Tyler at second, and Donna Noble wins. Because the lower the score, the better.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. I mean, I would have liked Donna's exit as well.
So 9th best episode in Series 9, 16th best episode in Capaldi's era to date, 63rd best episode of the revival, most divisive episode in the revival, taking the title away from Sleep No More. 83% gave 5 out of 10 or more, with considerable 40% giving 10 out of 10. And the final Series 9 average is 8.171.
Okay, that's quite interesting. I mean, that's not bad, is it, at all? Be interesting to see what that was like in comparison to, say, Capaldi's first season.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? I mean, I wonder when we, if we were to look at the whole of Capaldi's reign, where some of these episodes would have fallen.
So, final thing we're going to look at is the Gallifrey stories. I mean, we saw the return of Gallifrey recently.
Yeah.
But here we've got all of the Gallifrey stories, and we've got our challenge to rank them. Okay. So we have, in their ranking, it's Arc of Infinity last, 9th 3 Doctors, 8th Listen, 7 5 Doctors, 6 Invasion of Time.
Right.
Where's my hat?
Oh, there's a Christmas hat. I see it.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
5 End of Time, 4 Heaven Sent Hellbent, 3 Day of the Doctor, 2 War Games, and 1 Deadly Assassin.
Okay.
So here we go. What is your favourite Gallifrey story?
Ooh, I haven't seen all of those, so there's a few that I can't really comment on. There's a Listen one in this. I guess yeah. I should have all of those. Probably the Day of the Doctor.
Your favourite?
Yeah, I'd say. Listen would be really high up.
It's only the Gallifrey bit of the Listen.
Yeah.
I think the War Games is quite a good one.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, you're right.
Deadly Assassin's a good one.
Yeah.
War Games and Deadly Assassin would be at the top.
Yeah.
Probably agree with them with like Arc of Infinity at the bottom.
Yeah. I don't think I probably did see Arc of Infinity a long time ago, but I can't really remember it. But yeah, no, it's well, we're going to go on to the Series 9 review anyway, so I'll touch on what I was going to say. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so time for the Series 9 overview.
Oh.
So over the last 12 weeks, we have been reviewing all 12 episodes of season 9. That is Magician's Apprentice, Witch's Familiar, Under the Lake, Before the Flood, Girl Who Died, Woman Who Lived, Zygon Invasion, Zygon Inversion, Sleep No More, Face the Raven, Heaven Sent, and Hellbent.
Oh.
So last week we were here with Hellbent. It was 12 weeks or 13, I don't know, that we were here reviewing Magician's Apprentice.
Yeah. How time flies when you're having fun.
Like, was it 13 weeks ago when or was it 14 when when it was revealed that Davros is the child?
Yeah.
14 weeks?
Yeah, probably would be now, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Crumbs.
So crumbs from us.
So how are we gonna play this then?
So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna simply to start off with, we are going to do our order of episodes.
Okay.
And if possible, to give a score. Doesn't have to be the exact score you gave originally.
Yeah.
But the score that you think you gave the episode or you give the episode, it can be different from the original one because it's what you think now as well.
Yeah, sometimes you reflect on things that you change your opinion.
So we're going to start off with that. Then we're going to look at why it's been a good episode, if there's been any bad bits about the season, why it's been a good series, why the bits that it could be improved on. Also, we're going to do look at monsters and supportive cast, the writing and the directing of the episodes. So should I go first with the listing?
Yeah.
Should I start from bottom?
Yeah, I'm not going to remember mine very well, but I will do my best.
Okay, so 12, last place. You Sleep No More. With a 7.6 or something.
Yeah.
Or 7.7. At 11th, I have Girl Who Died with a 7.9. Then Before the Flood with an 8.1.
You're thinking, aren't you?
Yeah. Is it Woman Who Lived next?
Probably for you, yeah.
Yeah, Woman Who Lived, I think. At 9th with a 8.8 or something. So it jumps right up. Then Under the Lake with an 8.9. Sorry, Heaven Sent. 7. So many good episodes. 8.9.
Mm-hmm.
Face the Raven, 9.2 or something.
Mm-hmm.
5th, Saigon Invasion with a 9.3. Witch is Familiar, 9.4. Magician's Apprentice at 3rd with a 9.5. And joint first with a 9.7 is the Zygon Inversion and Hellbent.
Excellent.
So the Zygon Inversion and Hellbent tied first for me. Might not be for you guys, but for me, they tie both at the top in my favourite episodes of Series 9. So if possible, can you give your rankings, Decor, on every episode of Series 9 from the bottom?
Okay. If I just go through them from the bottom, I won't score them. Yeah, I'll touch on that afterwards because I can't remember both things at the same time.
Okay.
Because I'm older and my brain hurts. So if we take it from the bottom, I'd agree with you that in how many episodes is it? 12?
12.
12. So in 12th spot would be Sleep No More.
Yeah, definitely.
11th spot for me would be probably Before the Flood.
Yeah.
Yeah. 10th would probably be Girl Who Died.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. 9th, perhaps Face the Raven.
What about Magician's Apprentice?
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Oh yeah,
It's 9.
It's gone hideously wrong, isn't it? 12, Sleep No More. 11, Before the Flood. 10, Magician's Apprentice. 9, Girl Who Died. 8, Face the Raven. 7, probably Woman Who Lived.
Yeah.
6, probably Hellbent. 5th, Under the Lake. 4th, what have I missed off? Oh yeah. Okay, 4th would be Zygon Inversion. 3rd would be Zygon Invasion. 2nd, which is Familiar. 1st, Heaven Sent.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right. With the look, I won't score all of those, but if I was to look at the worst one, Sleep No More, I'm probably thinking about it now, probably be something like a middle 7, something like that, going through to about a 9.8, 9.9, something like that.
I was 9.7, 9.8 with How Bedtham's I Got a Version.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So what is quite interesting is like there's a couple of episodes in there which we have completely different thoughts on, aren't we, in terms of their strengths. So you've got Magician's Apprentice right near the top.
Yeah.
And I've got it right near the bottom.
I know.
Why is that? Do we think? I know the answer.
Of the tank guitar scene.
Yeah. It is. It's for me. It purely gets lower down in the chart just because of that little cheesy bit at one point.
But
I'm probably being harsh about it.
But the whole episode is really good.
Yeah. But even though it's really low down, I still really like it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I know when I was reading it out and I mentioned Zygon inversion at number.
I can't believe you like it more than Girly Died.
Yeah, I like Girly Died. I thought it was fun.
It was fun, but I don't think it's better than Magician's Apprentice.
Yeah. Bits of it.
The only one it's better than, in my opinion, is Sleep No More.
Yeah.
It's better than Sleep No More.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The thing is, even Sleep No More is preferable to me than quite a lot of other Who episodes.
Yeah.
So I actually think the season overall has just been really, really strong.
Overall thoughts on this season, we will give at the end.
Okay. Oh no, I've already given mine.
But we're going to give full thoughts then. So let's talk about. We've talked a bit about really good episodes and stuff.
Yeah.
And we've talked about big strengths of the season over the last 12 weeks.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Were there any bad bits about season 9? Nicole?
Bad bits. I don't think this is a bad bit from my own personal perspective, but I think it may be perceived to be bad by some of the viewership, and that is that it was a big, dark, very slow season. And really,
the thing is, they promised that it was going to be jollier than last year, a bit more.
Yeah.
Not fully like. They said there were darker storylines, but it was going to be more fun for the characters because they're jollying around. But that's only in the bits that we don't see.
Yeah, I think that's right. They obviously do have lots of fun adventures, don't they? But we don't get to view them. Not that the ones that we did get to view weren't great, because they were great. It's just they were very darker. They were very dark, in fact, in places. So I'd say that I think probably. It was probably a very hard season for younger viewers, generally.
Not me, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Well, it was hard to get through, I suppose. It wasn't as enjoyable. It's just it wasn't as enjoyable as last year's, probably, but it was better.
Yeah. I think you know when on the fan show, they have that slot where they ask people questions about Doctor Who over time, and one of them is, what episode would you put on a rainy day? I don't think there's anything in this season that
what about Girl Who Died? Oh wait, there's the immortal bit at the end.
Yeah, I think I think I'm not sure there's much in there that people would watch on a rainy day, and I'm not necessarily convinced it's a season that people would have a lot of repeat viewings on.
Yeah.
I think it's one way you watch it a second time, and it might get stronger as a result of that. But I don't think there's a lot of something like The Lodger you can put on and watch loads of times. It's very light-hearted and stuff. It's
great, The Lodger, but this series is great, but in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
That's what's great about Doctor Who. There's dark and light stories. There's places when they go to Earth. There's places when they don't.
Yeah.
Historicals and futuristics, space. And time, and historical figures and made-up figures.
Yeah.
New monsters and old monsters. It's just what's so great about
Well, it is,
Doctor Who. It's
yeah.
always so different, and it's always so enjoyable.
It's literally they can do anything with it, can't they?
Yeah.
That's the great thing about it, is that they've got no constraints at all.
They could last forever, Doctor Who.
Yeah, I mean, you could write any story and make it a Doctor Who story,
Yeah,
couldn't you, basically?
any story at all. And you could even take an old one. So, it's very good, Doctor Who. But we're talking about Series 9. What about the guest cast this series? I mean, we've had Maisie Williams is a strong point. Also, we've had Rufus Hound, Michelle Gomez,
Yeah.
Julian Bleach as Davros, and Reece Shearsmith.
Yeah.
And we've had others like Ingrid Oliver that were repetitive cast.
Yeah, I think the only ones that probably didn't seem as strong for me would be the Sleep No More cast.
Apart from Reece Shearsmith, because he was good.
Yeah, just purely because it felt like, obviously, I think we said at the time when we were reviewing that episode, you didn't really feel anything for any of the characters.
No, because when they died.
I think that's part of it was because of the way it's filmed.
Yeah.
I've watched Blair Witch Project before. I really like it, and you don't really feel for the characters in that either. So I think it's just that it's
just copying it.
Yeah, it's a similar sort of. I think it's just the way you feel with that sort of.
Didn't you do a special video on YouTube about Blair Witch Project?
You did, yeah. The Witch Blair Project.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, about Lionel Blair and Tony Blair. Looking for the haunted forest. There we have it.
So the monsters this series, we've had Davros, the Daleks, the Ghosts, the Fisher King, the Maya, Odin, Leandro, Missy, colony staff, Zygons, and Bonnie, and we've also had the Sandmen and the Veil, and So, what did you think of the monsters in season 9? Were they, because we had a mix of old and new monsters?
Yeah.
Mainly in the first episode, we had a lot of old, and we had a few new things.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of this year's monsters and villains?
I think they looked great.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there was.
Sometimes they were underused, so
that was the point I was going to make.
Yeah.
I think
the Fisher King,
Yeah.
Maya, and Odin, and Leandro, particularly.
Yeah.
They were the most underused creatures this series.
Yeah, no, indeed. You just wanted a little bit more of a face-off, but that was largely because, again, the fact that the story was more around the sort of dialogue.
Because Face the Raven and Hellbent don't really have a baddie properly.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Face the Raven, the baddie's the Raven, but it doesn't really count.
No, that's right.
The baddie's Ashildr, really.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's right. And even with that, it's a sort of a different sort of baddie, isn't it? Out of all of the new monsters that we've seen in this season, are there any there that you would like to see return?
I mean, I love Colony Staff. Mainly it's designed, but I love them.
It'd be good to see again. Yeah, perhaps an episode more focused on him.
Because there was too much going on in that first story for him to be in it. I think he was great in Magician's Apprentice, but he suffered the same issue that in Witch is Familiar he only said like 1 or 2 lines. And that was really underused. He was in like 3 promo pics and he only said 2 lines.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll tell you what I think the best villain was.
What?
If I can remember what it's called. The one in Heaven Sent.
Veil.
The Veil. Yeah.
Oh.
The Veil was absolutely fantastic.
I don't think it can return.
No, I don't think so either.
There's not a storyline for that, but
I think the one that I would most like to see return. I think I've got the possibility to see return more. Would be the Maya.
But they were a bit Sure, we want to see a big Maya story.
Yeah, I'd quite like that. Something where they really kicked butt.
Yeah.
Something where they, because I guess the only sort of downside of it is the fact that they were showing up a little bit. So the whole way the episode ended was that it was, you're no longer going to do this anymore because you're a bit of a laughing stock.
Yeah.
But But I think that would be really, really good, wouldn't it? Particularly as they've obviously got some great technology and everything, haven't they? Because they managed to keep their monster race alive with that auto healing thing. So
yeah. So the writing and the directing this series, it's been very strong, hasn't it? I mean, the finale, both parts of the finale, Heaven Sent and Hellbent, were superbly written by Stephen Moffat and superbly directed by Rachel Tallahay. And I think that was the strongest episode for writing and directing.
Yeah. But I think you're right. I think the writing full stop was really strong.
Yeah, definitely the directing, Heaven Sent and Hellbent was the best.
Yeah.
The writing was strong for all of the episodes.
Yeah. I mean, one that really stood out, I think, was the Zygon Invasion / Inversion, wasn't it? Which was great.
Zygon Inversion, written by Peter Harness and Stephen Moffat. Wow.
Yeah.
Dr. Speech, anti-war speech.
I mean, aside from Mark Gatiss's Sleep No More, which I don't think was really about story, it was more about the whole concept, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Of the fan filmed sort of type.
Fan footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, aside from that one, probably the weakest in terms of story writing was probably the Jamie Matheson one.
Yeah.
In many ways, which is odd really, because these were probably the best written episodes from the previous series,
it
weren't they? So it's odd, but I mean, having said that, it's still a really good story.
It was, yeah.
It was a completely different approach. It was all a fun one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Aside from the very ending.
So it's at the end. Should we give our overall thoughts on Series 9? So should I go first?
Yeah, you go first.
And score.
Okay.
So I absolutely adored Series 9. It's been one of my favourite series to date. The writing, the directing, some of the supportive cast, and most of the monsters this series were amazing. It's just a standout series, and it may be my favourite ever series.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It did have a darker approach, I know that, with some light stories in there, very few, but some light moments and stories and stuff. But as we've said, it's not the best series for a rainy day. So I think the Peter Capaldi and Jenna Coleman were great in it.
Yeah.
Maisie Williams was great. Michelle Gomez was great in the opener. There's some great supportive cast and stuff. The finale was a very strong story, both parts. And it's just a very strong series overall. And I'm going to give it a 9.5 with averages and stuff.
Okay. So my thoughts on it. I'd agree with you that it's one of the strongest series of New Who. Peter Capaldi's really come into the role.
Yes.
I mean, he was great in Series 8, but he was fantastic in this. I mean, the way he sort of, particularly the long dialogue sort of elements of it, he was just superb. Jenna Coleman equally, some really strong acting, I think, from both these major characters. I do think, however strong I think the series is, and I'm going to say it's a personal favourite of mine, I don't necessarily think it's one that people will have repeat watchings for to the extent of some of the others, because it was quite hard going at times.
Yeah.
There was a few times I got confused on it, but again, I get confused quite easily anyway. I think it was. I think it was challenging. I think it was probably too challenging for some of the audience base.
Definitely younger viewers.
Yeah. But at the same point, I don't think you expect anything different from the Doctor that we've got. I'm going to be quite interested to see what happens with the Christmas one, which will be a lot lighter.
And we'll preview that in a second.
Yeah. So overall, great stuff. Keep it coming. I'll tell you what I did want to make the point of, actually, was however much I liked Hellbent, and I did really like it. I really loved Clara's ending.
Yeah.
when they shoot off in the diner. Thought that's fantastic. But I do think it cheapened the Face the Raven episode. I also, there's another thought I had about it. What was it? Yeah, the story arc, the whole hybrid thing, probably wasn't the greatest.
No, it wasn't.
But I'm not necessarily convinced there has to be a story arc in all cases. I think probably in this one they would be better off if they just hadn't had a story arc.
No, I know.
Because it did feel a little bit forced at times. But there we have it.
Yeah.
So overall, I think I will match what you said, 9.5.
Okay.
Yeah. So there we have it.
Wow.
Season 9. I need to quickly do something cooking wise because we're having a big. We've been having a Christmas party today.
It's frozen.
As we've been talking about earlier.
Wait a second.
So we've been having a Christmas party, so we're having a big Christmas dinner, and I need to sort of do some of that. Right.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Well, everything's frozen. Technology letting us down. What do you need?
Wait a sec.
Yeah. So whilst Lewis finds the technology working again.
I think it's just going really slow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the synopsis for the Christmas special.
Right. Okay. I think it's just going really slow. Why don't you click up on the computer screen instead?
Yes. So you can still hear us, guys.
Yeah.
Right. So let's see. So it's time for us to give our review, our preview for the Christmas episode, The Husbands of River Song.
I'm still here. I'm just in the other side of the room.
He's cooking a big Christmas feast, mini feast thing. So let's read this synopsis then. So, it's Christmas Day on a remote human colony, and the Doctor is hiding from Christmas carols and comedy antlers. But when a crashed spaceship calls upon the Doctor for help, he finds himself recruited into Riversong's squad and hurled into a fast and frantic chase across the galaxy. King Hydroflax, played by Greg Davis, is furious, and his giant robot bodyguard is out of control and coming for them all. Will Nardoles, played by Matt Lucas, survive? And when will River Song work out who the Doctor is? All will be revealed on a Starliner full of galactic supervillains and a destination the Doctor has been avoiding for a very long time. So the sad thing is we don't have any hints and teasers.
Oh.
There's no point reading them next week because the podcast would already have been. The podcast next week will be us reviewing it, so there's no point us reading it. There may not be any. I don't know, but I think there will be. Make sure you check them out on doctortv.co.uk, I think, or com. I think it's .uk. So guys, Husbands of River Song. So I believe this is very hard doing this on my own for about 5 minutes.
Give your thoughts on it first of all, and I should come join you.
Okay, I believe this story is going to be a very light-hearted story. I mean, I think it's going to be more jolly. I don't think it can be as good as last year's Christmas special. However, I think it could be. It could be quite good. As some of you may know, who are watching this, I'm not the biggest fan of River Song, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to see what she brings, and it's going to be very interesting to see the personality between Peter Capaldi's Doctor and Alex Kingston, and even more because apparently River Song doesn't know who the Doctor is. She doesn't recognise the Doctor, and she doesn't know who the Doctor is for most of the episode. So it's going to be very interesting for most of the episode, and then we get to see what the personality is like between them properly.
Hello,
Hello again.
I'm back.
Hello.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see how they go. I think it'll also be interesting again to see the Doctor in a fairly light-hearted role. I mean, we've seen it a
Yes.
handful of times. Robot of Sherwood was okay.
Yeah.
I think Peter did fairly well, although it didn't feel like it was naturally him.
No.
In fact,
more
as
like
we said
Matt
before,
Smith.
it was a more of a Matt Smithy sort of episode. Or
You
maybe
can see our review of that on the season 8 reviews playlist.
Yeah, I think so. We had him doing it there, and we also had him doing the comedy thing, probably a lot better in The Girl Who Died.
Yes.
And this looks like it's going to be more of that sort of romp, doesn't it?
Yes.
Which we generally don't like quite so much. Certainly, I'm
No.
I'm not a big lover of those sorts of
I
things.
don't think it's going to be a bit of a light-hearted relief after season 9.
Yeah, and let's just hope that people still want to watch it after being scared or
Depressed
or
after
depressed, yeah.
series 9.
What we do know is it's on sort of a fairly early time, isn't it? It's about 5 o'clock.
5:15.
5:15. So they're obviously aiming it more at a younger audience than perhaps the last series was.
Yeah.
So I probably don't have that same level of dislike for River Song as you do. I think there's times the characters in the past have bounced very well off each other. I don't know. We've got so used to the way that Peter works with Clara. It's going to be intriguing to see him
Working with
somebody
else.
different.
I mean,
We've
when
not had that,
we have the new companion,
Mhm.
it's going to be very interesting to see how he acts with them.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to be the same way as Clara, what their personality will be, full stop.
Yeah.
Who they are going to be played by.
Yeah.
If
No,
we've
indeed.
ever heard of them.
Yeah. No, that's right. I think also, I mean, the only time we've sort of had an episode so far where he's been up against another sort of character has been with National
Macy.
Deer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was predominantly Macy playing the main sort of companion for that
Yeah.
episode, wasn't it? So yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yep.
Can't say I'm looking forward for it to the same extent as I was looking forward for big chunks of the last
No.
series, but that's because perhaps Christmas one's a little bit more hit and miss.
It's going to be a bit more enjoyable, I think, than this series has been. However, I don't think it will be as good.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, Series 9 wasn't the most enjoyable series. It was just really good.
Yeah. The weird thing about that is, for me, it was more enjoyable because of that, because I like things really dark and talky.
Yeah.
But,
So, should we move on now?
yeah.
So, the next Doctor.
Yes.
Yes.
So the next Doctor. So we last week, you may recall the excitement that was buzzing around us as we started to as we got ready to press the randomizer again.
Yes.
So
we won't be pressing it this week,
Mhm.
but next week we will.
So for those who don't know, just very, very briefly, randomizer equals spreadsheet with every episode of Who in it. We press a macro run button, which randomly plucks one of those episodes out. We watch it that next week,
Yes.
and then we review it on this very podcast.
Yeah.
And then a little bit later, we tend to pick up and do it in our Behind the Sofa video series, which you can watch by tuning into Lewis's YouTube channel.
Yes, and you could also tune in to Decool's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So remember, this is the YouTube channel, Miss Lewis Moon, which you can watch Figure Adventures, Behind the Sofa podcast, and more. And Decool's is a place where you can watch Behind the Sofa and his audiobooks, reviews of Game of Thrones and spaghetti westerns, lots of things like that.
Mhm. And that's called Mark Freak Super Geek. So the next Doctor, that was what came out last time. Quite well timed because it's a Christmas story.
Yes.
Shall I give a very basic,
Yeah,
rough
okay.
sort of like synopsis of the story? So a bit of a spoiler here if you haven't actually seen it.
Spoiler alert.
We get this sort of action sequence at the beginning where the Doctor hears somebody calling out for him, races to the scene, only to find that there's an imposter called the Doctor who's who this person was calling not actually David Tennant.
Yeah.
So brilliant opening sequence actually.
It was, yeah.
Because you get
That was one of the best bits of the episode.
Yeah. I think particularly when there's this sort of like get out your sonic screwdriver and they both actually point out their sonic screwdrivers and both go Alonzi. I love that bit.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, really good. So anyway, moving on from that, the real Doctor is trying to actually work out who this other character is. Cyberman invasion, basically, isn't it? In Victorian London. And Doctor gradually starts piecing together that the Doctor, the other Doctor, the new Doctor, the next Doctor, isn't actually the Doctor at all.
Yeah.
But firmly believes himself to be.
And the Doctor doesn't believe, doesn't remember, doesn't. The Doctor thinks first of all that it's a future version.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
Then he discovers.
I think, like you said to me when we were watching it, for people that were watching it not knowing, it sort of gave you that impression that maybe that this was going to be the next regeneration.
Yeah, I know.
And that was quite
clever.
effective. Yeah, that was very effective. So, what are your general thoughts on it?
I mean, this is one of those stories. I enjoyed it much more this year than I did last year. But I watch these every year. I think the time I enjoyed it the most was the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
But I think the beginning, the first 40 minutes is great, and then the last 20 minutes is just like.
Yeah. I probably agree with you. I really like the first 40 minutes. Don't like the stuff with the Cyber King.
No.
Don't really like the bit with all the little kids.
No, I don't like that.
In the control room.
That's the reason I hate the episode.
Yeah.
The control room bit.
Yeah.
And the Cyber King and everything.
Yeah, I think if you knocked that bit out, actually, I really enjoyed it as an episode.
If it was a 45-minute episode, then it would be great.
Yeah. So as a result of that, it's probably lower down. It's probably similar if I think through when we were talking about Series 9 earlier on, and when I was talking about Magician's Apprentice. There's so much that I love about the Magician's Apprentice, but you always get a feeling that you get the bit you're really going to remember is that bit that you don't like, and that's probably why it's low down in my rating. I thought most of this story was really good, and although I don't like that last 20 minutes, I really like the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I really loved, once again, spoilers, but the bit once the Cyber King's been defeated and the Doctor's up in the
hot air balloon.
The
TARDIS.
The TARDIS, yeah, the alternative TARDIS, and everyone's like cheering down below. I think that's just a brilliant bit.
Yeah.
And it's.
There are some RTD bits. Sometimes you forget it's an RTD story, but
there
are a lot of times when it is RTD-ish. But we expect that because it's an RTD episode.
I'm not so. As anyone knows that listens to this podcast, I'm not a big lover of David Tennant as the Doctor.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
I've heard that because he's poppy.
Yeah. Although, like I was saying to you the other day, I've been watching David in Jessica Jones, and he's fantastic in it. He's absolutely brilliant in it. So it's nothing against David as an actor. I just think it's the way the show decided it wanted him to portray
the Doctor.
Yeah. And I'm also, there's so many people really love it. So it's just my own personal opinion.
Everyone had their own opinion.
Yeah, but I found him quite good in this one.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
He's better in the specials.
Yeah, I think what I don't like about his Doctor at times is his interplay with the companions generally. The one series where I do like it is the one with Martha, and I think the stories are stronger as a result.
Yeah, they are.
It's some of my favourite ones of his in that period. I like that series, and I like these specials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So should we give our scores?
Yeah.
So monsters.
It's the Cybermen.
Yes.
Miss
Hartigan.
Yeah, she's good. I thought she was really good.
Shades.
Really like the Cyber Shades. They're quite entertaining.
Okay, out of 10.
Out of 10, I'm going to give them a 7.8.
No, you've got to give it a solid something.
I've got to give it a solid. In that case, an 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then character development.
I thought that was really strong actually, because I think the way that Jonathan's name was David Morrissey.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. I think the way that his character develops from the sort of like gung ho doctor who's basically just got the memory until it's sort of like taken back. He's got the memory of the 10th Doctor, hasn't he?
Yes. So out of 10.
Out of 10 as an episode, or
Yeah,
as
as
character
a
development.
character.
I'm going to give it an 8 for that as well.
Okay. I'm adding up these scores in my head. Excitement.
Really good, really good. I'm going to give it a 9 for excitement.
Okay.
I think it's really.
And pace.
And I'm going to give it a 9 for pace.
Okay, so you give it a 34 out of 40.
Because I actually think, as a Christmas episode, this episode is everything I'm hoping next week's episode is.
Yeah.
Because it was like fun, it was well acted, a lot of pace, a lot of action, very light-hearted.
Yeah.
I think that's what we need after
Yeah,
season
that
9.
is what we need.
However good season 9 was, I think we need a little bit of light.
So that's the end of our review of Next Doctor.
Yeah.
So now it's time
Ooh.
for quiz or question.
Quiz or question, John.
So, guys, we haven't done quiz or question since. She's gonna look. Gonna guess it was like the 19th, but it's been a different date.
Been a while.
It has been a little while, yes, since we have done quiz. Or question. So,
Don't remind people of what quiz or question is.
So quiz or question is our show where we decide whether something is quiz or question and answer it. A quiz is something which is something we about a fact in Doctor Who history that we need to answer.
So there's a right or wrong answer to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then also we've got
A question.
a question, which is the things that are just our opinion on something. So
Yeah.
we haven't had a quiz or question since 19th of September, which is when Series 9 began.
Okay.
So I'm going down very slowly here because I can't.
Yeah, the application's working quite slow, isn't it?
The whole tablet is. Really.
Yeah. Probably needs me to turn it off and start it again later, but we haven't got time to do that now because we need to jump
Yes.
into quiz
So,
questions.
Let's start with the first one. What is your favourite and least favourite Christmas episode? Quiz or question?
Da, 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 da. It's got to be a question because it's an opinion.
Okay, question.
Okay.
So, what is your favourite and least favourite Christmas episodes
Okay.
that you've seen?
I've not seen as many as you, so there'll be a number that won't be included. Probably my least favourite, although I still like it, is the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot to like about that one, but it's not the strongest. What about you?
I'd probably agree with that.
Yeah?
Yeah, that or Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of Christmas Carol. I watched it again last night.
Still not a big fan of it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people really love that one,
I
don't
think
they?
it's a very, very overrated
Yeah.
episode. So,
Which Doctor's that?
11th is the first.
Okay.
Down, no.
So
No, I have to scroll down again.
what about
Favourites.
favourite ones? Yeah.
My favourite has to be Last Christmas.
Yeah.
Last
So,
Christmas.
I probably agree with you. So we both agree on both of these points. What I'd like to ask you then is my own little quiz or question thing that links in with it. Who do you think makes the stronger Christmas episodes? Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat?
I think Stephen Moffat, however he's done the 2 weakest ones,
Mhm.
I think he has done the Snowman and Last Christmas.
Yeah.
I love Snowman and Last Christmas.
Yeah, probably the two strongest ones, isn't it? I did really enjoy that one we watched today. I thought The Next Doctor was really strong.
I like Voyage of the Damned as well.
Mm.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
So, what is the name of the character played by David Morrissey? And we should know this.
The Doctor.
Quiz or question?
It's a quiz.
Quiz.
His character is the Doctor.
AKA Jackson Lake.
Yeah.
So, how many Christmas episodes have a Victorian theme? So, quiz or question?
It's a quiz because there's a right or wrong answer to it.
Quiz.
It's an interesting one, that, because there's quite a few, isn't there?
So, let's see. I think Next Doctor.
Mhm.
A Christmas Carol is set on another world, so I don't know whether we can count that.
Okay.
Uh,
It's still got a Christmas sort of Victorian sort of feel to it,
Feel.
hasn't it?
so, Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Snowman.
Mhm.
Time of the Doctor, do we count that?
No.
Okay, 3.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was going to be more than that. That's interesting. Okay, 3.
So somebody says, I really like Who to Face. What would be your ideal Christmas story?
Okay. That's a good question.
Yeah.
What would be your ideal Christmas?
Oh wait, quiz or question?
Oh, okay. So it's an opinion. So thinking about it from a who to face sort of concept,
Quiz or question?
didn't we say that? We said
Yeah.
question, didn't we?
Question.
Yeah, question.
Question.
I reckon. Okay, let me think this through. I think for Christmas Day you want something which is a little bit of fun, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's probably where the Time of the Doctor fell down a little bit. Is that there was fun in it, but it had too much crammed in, didn't it?
Crammed in.
Yeah.
Too many loose ends.
Yeah.
I don't think a Christmas special should be the last episode with the Doctor.
No, I'd agree. I want to see something fun. I want to see.
I hope the 12th Doctor's in the Christmas special as his last.
Yeah. No, I had that as well. I want to see fun and action and good monsters. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say I think it's better when it's not necessarily a classic one, than a classic monster. I want to see something like Last Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although actually I had a feeling before it came on, I thought I was going to really hate Last Christmas because
The dancing scene.
well, it wasn't so much that, it was more so the whole idea of having Santa in. I thought this is going to be really silly.
But I hate the dancing scene.
I like it.
I hate the dancing. How can you like the dancing scene?
Yeah, I do. I do.
How-
So yeah,
Cringed at that.
something along those sorts of lines, I think.
Okay, so how many Christmas episodes have there been, and is it a quiz or question?
That's a quiz. There's a right or wrong answer. I'm gonna have to let you answer that one.
Well, Christmas Invasion. Do we count both parts of End of Time in one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Christmas Invasion, Runaway Bride, Voyage of the Damned, Next Doctor, End of Time, Christmas Carol, Doctor the Widow and the Wardrobe, The Snowman, Time of the Doctor, and Last Christmas. So there's been 10, excluding Husbands of River Song. 10. So that's excluding Husbands of River Song. Husbands of River Song will be the 11th Christmas special. So
we never really in the old. I mean, Christmas specials is a thing of New Who, isn't it? Really?
however, there was one Christmas episode in Classic Who.
Okay.
Feast of Steve.
Oh, see, why didn't somebody send that in? That would have been a great question, wouldn't it?
No.
So what was it?
Feast of Stephen.
Feast of Stephen. Okay. Is that a deleted episode?
I don't know, actually. I think it might be here.
Yeah, right.
one of the parts of the 12-part story. So,
Right,
so
okay.
the final one for today. Who is an ideal Christmas villain? Quiz or question?
Ooh, that's got to be an opinion-based one, so it's a question.
Question. So does this mean that it's ideal Christmas villain of a new creation?
Yeah, I think. I
Okay.
would say it's what makes a good Christmas
Well,
villain.
I think it should be something Christmas themed, like a monster made out of snow or ice, or
Mhm.
something wintry. Robot Santas,
Yeah, they were good, weren't they?
Heavenly Host,
Actually, we've got a few, haven't we? Really? 'Cause, the snowmen.
the Snowman.
Yeah. And we didn't have it sort of like with the last Christmas, but mainly because there was lots of other Christmas things, wasn't there? Really, with the whole idea of
Santa.
Santa being in it, it's not just anything else. I like your take on that though, and I think also something sort of like a Scrooge type character.
Yeah,
Um,
like a Christmas Carol.
yeah. So I think, I'm going to agree with you. A good Christmas villain, something which makes you think that there's a Christmas feel to it, some sort
Yes.
of Christmas theme. Must be getting harder and harder for them to do that though, because there's only so many Christmas ones. What
There are,
we're going to get sort of like exploding Rudolphs. Maybe. We haven't had them yet. Monsters that look a little bit like
There were-
reindeers.
There were exploding baubles on a Christmas tree, so
Yeah. Okay. Monsters that look like
bauble bombs,
presents. So, yeah.
present heads.
Yeah, that'd be alright, wouldn't it? You unwrap them and get a random monster underneath. How about that?
Yeah. So is that the end of the show?
I think it is, yeah.
So thanks for joining us this week. Next week, our podcast, as we said at the beginning, episode 139.
Mhm.
It may be on Sunday. It
Yeah.
may be on the Saturday. We'll let you know. So we are going to be reviewing this year's Christmas episode, The Husbands of River Song, and it will probably be our last new episode review, until maybe
Who knows?
probably like September,
Probably, yeah. Maybe even later.
maybe.
Maybe even later. We'll also on the show we'll be having our usual news and views from the Hooniverse.
We will be pressing the randomizer.
And we'll have a Who to Face.
Yes. So, thanks guys for joining us today. We will be back for a weekend show. We'll say next weekend we will be back, either
For our
Saturday or Sunday, for our last episode of 2015.
Yeah.
Then we'll tell you what's on the following week. We'll have a look back at 2015, as well as a little preview to what's coming on the podcast in 2016, and that's including like what features we've got, about randomizer, and how the style of the show may change in little bits.
Yeah. Okay. In the meantime, which we probably won't see you beforehand.
Wait. Make sure you tune in to both the MLMA Christmas special from Christmas Eve. Probably it's going to be released very early, at about 10 o'clock probably.
Mhm.
Be very early. It may even be 1. I don't know. Be about between 10 and 1 p.m.
Yeah.
when Empires of War, our Christmas special, will be released, and it's worth watching that because it's really good.
Yeah.
Or we think so, and hope you do too. And also Husbands of River Song. So we will see you next week, but there's only one thing to wish you. We wish you a very Merry Christmas, and we hope you enjoy Who and your Christmas full stop.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Oh.
And bye-bye till next weekend. Bye.